Digimon and Pacific Rim had a baby, and then the United States Department of Defense got a hold of it, and they added guns, big guns. That's Zoids.
Come on in and forget all your troubles and worries, and join Mandatory Fun Day for Simpler Times Saturday.
Today we're going back in time. We're going to talk about Zoids. You probably remember it fondly Saturday morning as you listen to the culmination of your parents' divorce in the background, which, despite what everybody says, it was not your fault. It wasn't your fault. Mom and Dad love you very much. I'm Mandatory Fun Day, and this is Simpler Times Saturday. Today we're talking through the lore of the Zoids TV shows. At the heart of Zoids is a simple idea. On the far side of the Milky Way lies planet Z, home to metallic living war beasts called Zoids. Animals, dinosaurs, insects with various weapons. People pilot them, befriend them, and very often nearly end the world with them. The shows don't all share like one strict canon, but each takes the same toys, literal and figurative, and spins a different legend. First, we're going to talk about Chaotic Sentry and Guardian Force. It's a war story with ancient mystery. In Chaotic Sentry and Guardian Force specifically, humans are not native to planet Z. They arrive after the ancient Zoidians. The show even says Fiona is an ancient Zoidian who lived before humans came to Z, implying Zoids and Zoidians predate human contact. Discovery is long in the past by the time the series starts. We start with Van Flyheight, a desert kid who finds two things in some ruins: a mysterious amnesiac girl named Fiona, and a small dragon-like Zoid called an Organoid, Zeke. When Zeke fuses with a larger Zoid, it heals, evolves, and fights far beyond its specs. That one discovery puts Van on a road trip through a fragile ceasefire between the Helic Republic and the Gylos Empire, a conflict that's been simmering for generations. Organoids are unique to this show's continuity, and they're tied to the lost ancient Zoidians. They don't just power up machines, they carry memories, choose partners, and sometimes push a Zoid to evolve. Think of them as living catalysts that remember a civilization most people think is a myth. As Fiona's memories return, we learn about Zoid Eve, an ancient mechanism sealed away with a world-ending monster, the Death Saurer. Zoid Eve is described as the source of Zoid life. Tampering with it is how you turn a cold war into an apocalypse. That's exactly what the villains try, culminating in a showdown where heroes and armies throw everything at an awakened superweapon. The war ends, but only after we're shown how old and alive Z's secrets really are. Chaotic Sentry and its sequel arc, Guardian Force, established Zoids as living partners first, weapons second. Bonds, evolution, and ancient tech are the keys to the power scale in this timeline. New Century treats battles as a regulated sport. There's judges and a battle commission, and Fusors is a blue city-centric competition. It's an adventure on Zeke. Both assume a world where humans have known or used Zoids for a long time. Zoids aren't marching in armies, they're competing in a regulated battle sport. The Zoid Battle Commission runs tournaments, judge robots drop from orbit to officiate, and teams chase prize money, sponsors, and bragging rights. Our POV is the Blitz Team, led in spirit by BitCloud and his white cat Zoid, the Liger Zero. How the fights work is that there are fairly strict rules. Most battles happen on designated fields, with judges calling fouls and, when needed, orbital slapdowns on cheaters. The tech star is Liger Zero's CAS, changing armor system. Full body loadouts you can swap for speed, like the Jäger, blades, like the Schneider, or artillery like the Panzer. In some episodes, Ultimate X Zoids are hinted to have integrated organoid-like systems that learn mid-fight, so the metagame is real. Why this matters is that New Century reframes Zoids as competitive machines with personality. It's still Planet Z, but the storytelling asks, what if these living mecha were, the world's favorite sport? That means rivalries, sponsorship drama, and rule lawyering instead of geopolitics and doomsday relics. The video's not over, but I want to tell you about the MandatoryFunday.com. On the MandatoryFunday.com, we've got all the merchandise, hats, shirts, coffee mugs, water bottles, all of it. If you become a member of the website, you get 20% off merchandise purchases and access to exclusive content. In the exclusive content, I tell you guys what's going on in my personal life. In addition to that, we've got a link for regulation-compliant military shirts for the merchandise, if you're in the military and you want to wear that. We've also got a link to our email newsletter, which lets you know every single time that we drop a new video. Moving on to Fusers, it's when your Zoids literally combine. I mean, this was a time in anime when fusing was like in every show, it feels like. And most anime shows or anime-like shows at some point combine multiple characters to create one exponentially more powerful character. So this is not like, it's not a new concept. The premise for Fusers, it follows RD and Team Mach Storm in Blue City. Battles are often in enclosed arenas, and the big gimmick is right in the title. 2 or more Zoids can fuse into into a single unit for a limited, spectacular power spike. Artie's path to mastery involves learning when and how to trigger those combinations. Unlike the shows before it, Fusers isn't meant as a direct sequel to New Century in world. Materials around the show place it along the toy line's battle story era. Fusers keep the sport vibe but turn the dial from League rules to urban adventure while codifying fusion as a lore mechanic some Zoids can and many can't perform. Moving on to Genesis, this is the world after the fall. Genesis is a post-cataclysm Z. Survivors rediscover and salvage dormant Zoids from ruins after God's fury. It's not First Contact, it's digging up lost tech from before the collapse. Long after earlier conflicts, Z suffers a cataclysm called God's fury. Civilizations collapse, survivors huddle around gigantic generator towers that keep pockets of the planet habitable. Our lead, Ruji, dredges a dormant Murasame Liger from the sea and becomes a reluctant hero against the conquering Degald forces. And they are equipped with the terrifying biozoids. Genesis runs on salvage and scarcity. Many Zoids are excavated from ruins. Biozoids are cutting-edge enemies built with exotic armor and biology, and the fight is less tournament bracket and more protect the last working infrastructure before the light goes out. It's a return to adventure war drama, but on a post-apocalyptic stage. Genesis reframes Zoids as the tools and threats of recovery. The big thematic flip is responsibility. The old world's excess broke Z, the new world survives only if pilots grow up fast. Zoids Wild reboots the feel again. Pilots ride on top of their Zoids like extreme sports wranglers, forming bonds that unlock a signature power-up called the Wild Blast. It's a dramatic time burst where the Zoid's defining weapon deploys at full tilt. The show premiered in the late 2010s with new characters and a faster kid-forward energy. Unlike earlier TV entries set squarely on Z, Wild is framed around Earth in this continuity branch, with Zoids discovered and tamed as the world rebuilds. The tone is treasure hunt adventure versus nation-state conflict. Wild puts the bond of pilot and Zoid at the forefront. Less cockpit instrumentation, more writer-partner chemistry. And it makes the power curve feel like unlocking a fighting game super rather than installing a new cannon. For example, Sally's family. So Discovery here is framed as Zoids turning up on Earth via migration and later rediscovery. Wild Zero arrives as a news story with a new cast. It keeps the Wild era's visual DNA but shifts focus to a larger conspiracy. Sally searches for her scientist grandfather while rival factions chase a project called Z forming that could reshape the planet's future. The stakes climb from personal adventure to global tug-of-war. Zero proves the Wild framework can carry a bigger, more serialized plot without losing its ride and blast identity. It's the militarized end of the Wild spectrum and a clean on-ramp for new viewers. Here is a quick summary of each show. Across the TV series, Zoids swing from mythic war beasts to sports superstars to post-apocalyptic companions and back again. That's the fun. Same iconic silhouettes, totally different rule sets. If you want a starting point for viewers, Chaotic Century for the epic, New Century for the hype, Genesis for the quest, and Wild or Wild Zero, I'm not having a stroke, I swear, for the Ride and Blast reboot. You tell me which one you thought was the best, or if you thought one was better than another, but the concept of one was better than that. Tell me about that too. This show was so cool to me. I mean, it's like everything a little kid could possibly want. You know, some kind of semi-organic, living, sentient machine, giant machine that's supposed to battle. It's got claws. You put giant guns on it. It's like the stuff that we drew in school as little kids. I mean, it's really, really cool, and making this video literally gave me chills at times from the nostalgia. I am Mandatory Fun Day. This was Simpler Time Saturday. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.